Yo, yo, yo. Excuse me. What up, fam? What it do, what it do? Davey, I heard that fart. I might actually smell it a little bit too, dude. Yo, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Tuesday, man. Happy Tuesday. It'll be kind of a repeat of yesterday, man. We'll do the news, and then we'll the news for today, September 26th. Then we'll dive into probably the majority of the day will be some like Fallout New Vegas. And I think we're gonna go check out a vault today, actually. A vault, yeah, that we haven't been to, so that should be cool. We're gonna take Grandma Tilly up in there. It should be a good time. She's wild, dude. And then we're gonna go play a little bit, probably do a few runs of some God of Weapons, man. I always want to say God of War. God of Weapons. It's a cool little game, dude. I think for $5, just over $5, if you like roguelike games, man, it's a banger. It's a really cool one to look into. So that's what the day's gonna hold for us, man. That's what we're gonna do. So strap on those seatbelts, baby. Let's go do this. Let's dive into video gaming news for this morning. Hope you guys are doing good. Let's go. Let's go. Wait. Hey, wait. What? No. My bad. Forgot to plug my phone in. So here we go. So starting it off, dude, Payday 3's launch has gone so badly. Starbreeze says it's now looking at the possibility of some sort of offline mode. I don't think that's going to fix everything, to be fair. Yeah, so, you know, this is a huge part of it. You know, it's actually kind of insane that even if you want to play solo in the game, you go through like a huge queue of matchmaking and everything. It's really weird. But that's not going to fix everything for that game. Not for me, at least. And not for people that were in love with Payday 2. They made a lot of changes to that game from Payday 2 to Payday 3 that were, in my opinion, regression. They tried to fix a lot of stuff that wasn't broken. Instead of like maybe trying to improve some of the things that people enjoyed, they totally tried to change it and made it to where it's a game that I don't care to play at all. Not at all. And this is a game that I was planning on playing on release. I just got lucky that I was caught up playing, you know, the first Descendant beta. And so I got lucky enough to be caught up in something to take my attention away for the release of Payday 3, and then looked at reviews and was like, oh, this is bad. This is pretty bad. So for me, this is a no. This is not a game that I care to play. Even if they fix the you can play offline, that's not everything that they need to do to this game to get it straightened out. I think that for people that maybe didn't play Payday 2, didn't have expectations of an evolution from Payday 2 to Payday 3, they'll probably have a decent time in this game. But for people that knew what Payday 2 was, this is still going to be a letdown for the most part. Even with even if they do change the game to have an offline mode or whatever, just don't see it, man. Yo, Farrah, what up, broski? What's going on, dude? We already talked about this yesterday. What was the name of this game? I can't remember the name of this game. Ballistic NG. Yeah. This was a game that's out on Steam right now. Actually, I'll pull it up for you real quick. Check this out. So Ballistic NG is a game that is out. It's on PC. It was supposed to be brought over to the Switch relatively soon, and now the developers are saying nope, not happening. Not with Unity, not with what Unity has become, and that entire plan has now been nixed. It is scrapped. This game will no longer be coming to the Switch. Twitch and my Firefox are hating each other. Really? That's weird, dude. Yikers. Interesting. That's odd, man. I'm sorry. Huh. You know, Twitch can be funky sometimes, dude. Did I even get my title updated correctly? Yeah, I think we're good. Alright. I didn't check it. I usually check it before I start streaming. I forgot to check that. But, yeah, that's the play. So if anybody was hoping to see this game get to Switch like had been announced, that's not happening anymore. That's the TLDR. We went over the article yesterday, but just so everybody knows again, that's what this is about. SAG-AFTRA members have voted to authorize a video game strike, people. This is the Writers Guild and everything, dude. They've been on strike for quite a while now for movies and TV shows and streaming services and stuff like that. And apparently they are now striking for video games as well. So we will read into that. It doesn't mean a strike is definitely happening, but it does give them the option. So it's actually Screen Actors Guild is what it is. American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So we'll read about it. I guess I didn't necessarily either, but it makes sense thinking about it, you know? So we'll read about it and see what's going on. And like I said, what that says is that it doesn't mean it's impending, like it's necessarily for sure gonna happen, but if, I guess, yeah, not just that, I mean, acting in general is used, you know what I mean, quite often in high market productions and everything anymore, you know. So it's not just voices anymore, it's a lot of, you know, actually, yeah, straight up acting is put into the games and everything. So I don't know, I mean, it has been for, I mean, even you can go all the way back to Mortal Kombat 1, you know, games like that. Mortal Kombat 1 used real actors for the for that game. So it's not like it's necessarily something new, but it's much more prominent today than it was back in those days. Back in those days, it was a kind of a rarity, you know. Yeah. So it was happening back then. It just wasn't as, you know, popular as it is today. So, I mean, it makes sense, man. We'll read about it. Craziness, dude. Yeah, we knew. I mean, this is going to happen this week sometime. I really do feel. It'll probably happen tomorrow while we're having our day off for live streaming. Because you know how that works, you know. Big news comes in whenever I'm off, you know what I mean. So, but we knew, you know, the CMAs basically opened the doors for this acquisition to take place. They have been appeased with the concerns they had concerning the cloud gaming space, and they were the last real hurdle, you know. So I've expected this acquisition to finally come to fruition sometime this week. It'll probably be tomorrow or tonight, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. That's probably what's going to happen. That would be my assumption. That's kind of the way it goes. Oh, great, dude. Capcom's president wants you to pay even more for your games. Bro. I'm about to rip Capcom a new asshole on this article here. I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read that. Yeah, dude. Streaming is going to transform video games just like Netflix changed, you know, the TV and movie streaming entertainment side. You know, I've compared the two. I feel like Game Pass specifically is the Netflix of the gaming world. You know, Game Pass is changing the gaming industry in the same way that Netflix it changed that side of the entertainment industry, you know, with movies and TV shows. No doubt about it. For sure. I've actually given comparisons before, personal comparisons. I see the same exact thing. I don't think there's any need to dive into this. It should be apparent for a lot of people that that's what this is. I'm actually surprised that it's taken so long for this side of the video gaming side of the entertainment world to have the same thing happen. When seeing what Netflix was able to do with that kind of service, you know. But Xbox was really smart. They were like, nobody else is doing this. This is an opportunity for us to enter into a segment to be more competitive, because they were, let's be honest, a distant third place in the console wars, and it's you know, it's held them up in competition on that side of gaming. It's been great for them. It was a very smart play by them. More Game Pass hikes are inevitable. Well, let's see what that's about. Switch games arriving in October. You know what? Let me see this. I think we've got... Let's just bring this up. Let's just bring this up today. We're getting close to October. And we'll just read the... Oh, Jesus. Everybody should stay away from that. The Scorn on PS5. Get wrecked, dude. What a piece of trash. I mean, it performed fine. It was just a terrible game. But we'll go over this list here. We'll go over this list. All the games coming out in October, okay? We'll just go over that. I've got a pretty nice bookmark here for this site, Games Radar, and they've got lists of the games that are coming out month to month through the rest of the year. So I've got that bookmarked for us. If anybody ever needs that, let me know, and I'll dump it off to you. Cool. Oh. Because that's across all platforms too. What is this saying? Interesting. Gaming computer market size expected to attain 145.93 billion USD by 2030, growing at a 15.3% rate. We've even seen a lot of companies reporting that they're getting a lot more revenue from the side of PC gaming than they have in the past. Companies that have done both sides, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's what you want to see. You want to see companies that have dealt with both sides, both the console and the PC side, because, you know. Are we getting Jingle Bells? Are we playing Jingle Bells right now, dude? I can barely hear it. No, we got it. Probably just changed over, didn't it? Yeah, my bad. This should be better now. I'm just trying to get you guys in the mood, dude. All right, 3 months away. It's gonna come fast. Yeah, it's gonna come fast, dude. I'm just trying to get you in the mood. Those holiday vibes. Take that over Halloween music. Oh, dude, that's coming real quick. We got the Scaretober stuff popping off very soon. Yeah. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. I don't even know what game we're starting off with or anything. I'll probably take a look at it on Wednesday and try to get some kind of schedule locked down for what we're going to play during October. Most games do that kind of stuff, yeah. That's what, Payday 2 used to do awesome events during the holidays and stuff, you know. I loved it. You'd get like cool Halloween masks and stuff to wear. You'd get cool like holiday Christmas themed masks to wear and stuff. It was cool, man. But a lot of games do that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I like it. What is this? A lost first-person Pokemon game has been restored? What is this? Oh my god, dude. Look at this old school game. Insane. Pokemon 2000 Adventure. Oh, that's sick. We're gonna read about this, dude. That's cool. Alright, let's go to our other search, see what we got here. Yep, got that up. Oh, nice, dude. Solid, dude. Right on. Yeah, we saw this yesterday. That's terrible, dude. It seemed like an accident. It didn't seem like it was on purpose. But there was definitely a lot of negligence going on there. Man, God. Until Dawn Studio developing a Scream horror game. Here you go, Ferret. This is your jam. Yeah, I didn't dive into this yesterday, but there's just I saw this yesterday as well, and I looked at it real quick. Basically, I think TLDR, what happened here was this 20 or 21-year-old father put a like weighted blanket on an infant and just didn't check on the infant for a long time. And the blanket basically suffocated the child, the infant. Yeah. What's also, I think I read also that this guy, like, just left home, left the infant at home, and went and picked up his wife from work and went back? I don't know. So I'm like, dude, that's wild. I would have never, ever, dude, I still don't hardly leave my kids at home, and they can handle themselves. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things that, especially when kids are really, really young, you just don't do that, dude. Like, why would you not just throw them in the car? If that's what I read, if I read that correctly, but I just kind of skimmed this yesterday and saw it, and you know, I can't regurgitate all the facts or anything because I didn't really read it for the stream or anything. I just saw it and I was like, oh, that's really, really sad, dude. So basically, though, yeah, it was a situation where like a 4-pound like weighted blanket got put on this infant, and infant died. Just a sad situation, man. Yeah. yeah. I do think it was probably an amount of ignorance on the part of this individual, not understanding that a blanket like that can't be put on an infant. Like, it's just, that doesn't work like that, you know? Most people will have an amount of logical and critical thinking about that kind of thing, but there are just some people in the world that don't necessarily have that in their capacity, and I think that's just what this situation was. I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was a negligence kind of thing, but nonetheless, it was a situation, I think, where he's being charged with like kind of like a negligent homicide kind of murder situation, because there was such a long period of time in between actually checking on the child. You know what I mean? And you know, infants, dude, you gotta be on them all the time, even if they're sleeping. I mean, you check on them all the time. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that's kind of what's going on. I'm not gonna dive into it. The reason it's coming up is because they're saying that he wanted to play video games. I think he was distracted with video games is what it was. He was like, the baby's sleeping, I'm playing video games. And he just played forever, dude, and never checked on the baby. I think that's what it came down to. You know? That sucks. It's sad. Oh, wow. Oh! A ransomware group claims to have breached all Sony systems. Uh-oh. That could be very bad. Yes. No doubt. Sony is also, we're going to read about that for sure. We're going to find out what all that has to do with. Sony's offering new PS5 owners a free first-party game. We talked about this the other day. I'll bring this back up just in case anybody's interested. It's a good list of games. We're talking like Horizon games, God of War games, Spider-Man games. Not the new Spider-Man, because that's not out yet. But a good like The Last of Us. It's a good selection of games. If you're a new PS5 owner, if you buy a new PS5 over like the next month, I think it's through like the first 3 weeks of October, then you get your pick of like about 15 first-party Sony games, PlayStation games, and so it's a decent little deal. You know what I mean? But we talked about it. I'll pull it back up for everybody. One second. All right, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's always the case, right? Yeah, it depends. But I mean, if... yeah, because a breach is just access in some form or fashion. It doesn't mean they actually necessarily got all the way in and got a bunch of data right. I mean, it just means that they kind of potentially have found a hole in some kind of vulnerability that's allowing them to. I don't think they would have announced it unless they got in and got something good, though. You know what I mean? I don't think they would have announced this. The ransomware group, I don't think they would have announced it. You know, that they've breached all Sony systems unless they got in and got something decent. That's not what ransomware, you know, groups are about. So, I mean, we'll read and we'll find out. You know, it's not like they're white hatting this. It's not like they're like, hey, Sony, just so you know. They do thrive on terror, but part of the big part of their terror is being able to, you know, kind of hold that blackmail-ish kind of stuff against people. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, that could be part of it. They could be just like posturing to make Sony think that they got more than... Sony will be investigating it. That's the thing. Sony will be investigating internally and doing some kind of, like, you know, tracking to see what was taken. They'll be able to verify that. They'll be able to verify what data was taken. And if it was significant, we'll know. Yeah. I mean, you know, it could be a posturing thing. If they got into some systems but they weren't able to get much, they could have just been like stating this to strike some fear into the company or into, you know, some people or whatever. You're right, it could be something like that. Quite often though, they don't normally, like, if they found a hole, unless they hit a significant wall, and normally they're not going to give that hole away. You know what I mean? Either if they find a vulnerability, and they're not going to just give it away either. They'll sit on it for a long time to see what else might come about that hole can offer in the future, you know? But it's not like they're telling Sony what that hole was. But even just saying they've been breached is going to put them on high alert, and Sony's going to be trying to figure it out. And that's usually, you know, these malicious actors, they don't want to tip that off either, you know. So, but we'll see. We'll find out, dude. It could be all kinds of things. We're getting too deep into it already. Me and Barrett, you and I have just been too ingrained in this kind of tech world for too long, you know. We start going down that rabbit hole, dude. Maybe Sony honey potted him, dude. Shut up, OA. It's a bunch of fake data, dude. Microsoft Sarah Bond nourishes StarCraft fans' hopes at TGS Tokyo Game Show. Cool. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, we've heard some like StarCraft rumorish kind of stuff. New StarCraft coming, you know. Yeah, that's true. Everybody else is going to think honeypot's something entirely different around this community. You know? It's like, chill out, guys. This is a different honeypot. Chill out, chat. That's funny, dude. Yeah, dude, the new 2600 Atari being made, dude, is dope. If you haven't heard about this, Atari's making new consoles. It's a modern take on the vintage Atari 2600. Yeah, it plays the old cartridges. It comes with a cartridge that has like 10 games on it, but they're making the console. It looks just like the old Ataris. It's got the joysticks. It's just got more modern like input output devices on it and stuff like that. For display and things of that nature, but it plays almost all of the old Atari cartridges. It's dope, dude. This is really cool. I don't know why Atari's the first one to do this. You know what I mean? To be fair, like with Nintendo and Sega, they've made all these like retro consoles, but all they are like emulators, really. They're just emulators that have a bunch of ROMs stored on them for you to play. Instead of them being like just a true recreation of the original consoles, so that people can play their if their console, they don't have their old console, but they want to start collecting games again or whatever. I think that's a cool thing to do. I think this is cool. I like Atari's play here. I think this is neat. I think it's neat, dude. I will say this. I would rather have an original console. You know what I mean? I'd rather have an original Atari console. I'd rather have I still have a ton of my original consoles. PS1, PS2, NES, Super Nintendo. Like all that stuff. Xbox, original Xbox. I've got all that stuff. And I'd rather have that, But I think this is a cool thing for maybe people that somewhere along the lines lost that stuff, or maybe even the newer generation that's just really enthusiastic about the gaming industry and once is all about like kind of the vintage, because there's going to be a younger generation of gamers that are interested in the vintage side of things, and for them to be able to dive into this a little bit in an easier way than having to go out and try and find a solid console, even if they've already collected a bunch of games, that'd be cool. Peter, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Happy Tuesday, dude. How you been? We got all that up. Happy Taco Tuesday. That's right, dude. That's right. Man, I'm hungry already, too. I'm ready to eat. Imagine that. OA ready to eat. Fat boy. What a fat boy I am. Oh, no way, dude. The canceled Knights of the Old Republic 2 Switch DLC, which we read about, I don't know, dude, probably about half a year ago that they were canceling that, leads to a class action lawsuit, dude. Interesting. Yeah, we've already talked about that. Yeah, yeah, Peter. Wait, what? Devolver rejected deals to include games on subscription services. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, I'm interested to read that too. Okay, let's stick with these articles. Let's see what we got here. Let's kill this music. Until Dawn Studio developing a Scream horror game. This is Ferret's jam right here. Ferret's going to love this. Says Insider. An insider has revealed that developers of Until Dawn may be working on a horror game based on the much-beloved Scream franchise. Fans of all things horror will be pleased to hear the news that Supermassive Games are possibly working on a Scream-inspired horror game. The developers of Until Dawn aren't strangers to horror after releasing the interactive drama game in 2015, followed by the Dark Pictures anthology in previous years. Featuring Man of Medan, Little Hope, and House of Ashes, the Dark Pictures anthology is a collection of survival horror games, each with unique and sinister tales. Now it seems as though Supermassive's attention has turned to classic horror. This news comes courtesy of Reddit post. It claims an insider has teased a video game based on the Scream franchise. Excuse me. The insider in question, the tipster on Twitter, has had a good track record with releases, but they have mainly focused on movie news. After the Reddit post was made, the tipster took to Twitter to share the leak. Quote, since it's being discussed online, they wrote, based on what I heard back in May, there is indeed a game based on the Scream franchise in development. Never heard of a developer at the time, but in all honesty, Supermassive Games lines up pretty well. With a string of horror games under their belt, including the recent Dark Pictures Switchback VR released in March, would make sense for Supermassive to be taking on Ghostface himself. With only rumors to go on, it remains to be seen how he will be adapted into the typical Supermassive style of interactive horror games. However, with the slasher movie legend enough to instill fear, I think this is supposed to be fear. Instill fear. I don't know how to turn it into feature. Into anybody's hearts. It is bound to be a memorable experience. My throat's all jacked. Yeah. Yeah, about the most recent thing we've really seen. I was gonna say that he's a character in Dead by Daylight. But that's about all, we've really seen in the video game front, I think. At least modern, for sure. So, we'll see what happens there. Here we go. Ferret and I have been, I know our brains are kind of spinning about this one. So, a ransomware group claims to have breached all Sony systems. The group behind the alleged attack says it plans to sell the stolen data. Ransomware group ransomed.vc claims to have successfully breached Sony Group and is threatening to sell a cache of data stolen from the Japanese company. While its claims remain unverified, again, this is going to be something that Sony is internally investigating right now to find out what, if anything, was in fact taken. But to be fair, usually these are not false statements. Usually if a ransom attack has been claimed and pushed out there, especially one on a big company like this, it usually holds some weight to it. Not always, but quite often. Cybersecurity Connect reports that the relative ransomware newcomer has racked up an impressive amount of victims since bursting onto the scene last month. Quote, we have successfully compromised all of Sony's systems. The group claimed on both the clear and dark nets. We won't ransom them. We will sell the data. Due to Sony not wanting to pay, data is for sale, in all caps. According to Cybersecurity Connect, the group has posted some proof of hacked data, although it says this is not particularly compelling information on the face of things. It includes what appear to be the screenshots of an internal login page, an internal PowerPoint presentation, several Java files, and a file tree of the leak, which seemingly includes fewer than 6,000 files. The group listed a post date of September 28th, after which, if nobody purchases the data, it is presumably when ransom.vc will publish the data wholesale. Ransomed.vc is said to be both a ransomware operator and a ransomware as a service organization. Claims to be a, quote, secure solution for addressing data security vulnerabilities within companies, and also to be operating, quote, in strict compliance with GDPR and data privacy laws. In cases where payment is not received, we are obligated to report a data privacy law violation to the GDPR agency, the group says. Most of the ransomed.vc's members reportedly operate out of Ukraine and Russia. VGC has contacted Sony for comment on this report and will update if we hear back from the company. Yeah, in 2011, Sony was hacked and suffered a massive breach, resulting in the personal details of approximately 77 million accounts being compromised, service being taken offline for 23 days. They estimated the hack would cost it more than $100 million. And it was forced to apologize not only to the players, but developers whose game launches were disrupted or whose online services were left unavailable. Here's their apology video right here. I'm not going to watch it, but Sony eventually faced as many as 55 class action lawsuits, agreed to offer compensation for those affected, including free games. Quote, "You are the lifeblood of the company," PlayStation's U.S. boss Jack Tretton said at the time. "Without you, there is no PlayStation. I want to apologize personally. It's you that causes us to be humbled and amazed by the support you continue to give." And by support, he means money. So the big thing here is according to Cybersecurity Connect, the group, they're talking about ransomware what is it, VC? Ransomed.vc, sorry, ransom.vc has posted proof of hack data, although Cybersecurity Connect is saying that, quote, "the proof of hack data is not particularly compelling information on the face of things." This is kind of what we were getting at whenever we found this article initially, Ferret and I. Sony is going to, that they are, they're sweating, but they're vetting this and they are internally investigating and doing forensics, technological forensics on this to determine what, if anything, was actually taken and what kind of access was obtained in this breach. This is always the process. Companies that have
He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
Exactly. It was probably him. It was probably Hacker Man's. Yeah. Perfect gift, dude. Yeah, nice. This is always the play. A company has to do their own due diligence and work their own internal process to verify what exactly this situation entails. This is a delicate situation too, because depending on what was taken, and it's always, because like Ferret brought up earlier when we found this article, this could be a posturing kind of situation from the ransom hackers, right? And that is why it's so important for the company themselves to do their own internal investigation to find out what was taken, verify what was taken, verify what kind of access they got, not only to try and make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future, because they absolutely have to they have to find out how it happened and take measures and implement fixes to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, but they also have to verify what kind of data that company has. And they have to figure out a plan to move forward in the face of what has been taken here. And we'll find out soon enough. But this is basically the first steps in anything like this happening. So Sony's in a bit of some hot water right now. That they're working hard to figure this out. I guarantee it. But it's not a good look right now. It's not a good look for sure. But we'll be finding out more about this as I think the week unfolds. Again, so tomorrow's the normal day off, so there will probably be some more news on this front that comes out over the next 24 to 48 hours that I won't be touching on until I get back for the next live stream on Thursday, you know. And but when we do get back on Thursday, we'll probably have a good, nice, solid chunk of information here about what exactly is going on in the situation for us to cover. So on Thursday, when we get back from our day off, we'll definitely be covering more info on this, I'm sure. It's a rough one. Now, if you're not worried about your data potentially being stolen and you're interested in getting in on the PS5 front, it's kind of a good time to do that right now. If you're interested in being a console gamer, you have until October 20th to get in on buying a PS5 and claiming one of like 15 first-party proprietary PlayStation games. It's a whole list. I'll link this for you. We've already talked about it, but that's a lot of good games. You can see the list of all of them right here. All right. You've got about 3 weeks left to get in on this deal. So if you're interested, Sony is doing a decent deal right now on PS5 purchases. So getting a nice game along with it. Microsoft's Sarah Bond nourishes StarCraft fans' hopes at TGS. That's the Tokyo Game Show, right? So, dude, can you get back over to the left? And we'll just roll like that, I guess. Let me see something. We'll do it like that. We've heard speculation and a little bit of rumorish stuff that maybe we'll get a new StarCraft game. And obviously, I think that one of the things everybody's been focusing on Call of Duty with this whole Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition, right? And obviously, the reason for that is because Call of Duty is a major title. It's super lucrative. It is unique in what it brings to the table for a company in that kind of acquisition. But the thing that I've tried to talk about and keep people aware of is that the portfolio that Microsoft is getting outside of even Call of Duty with the Activision Blizzard acquisition is stacked. Whether you're talking about current games or even games that they could take a look at bringing back into, the modern fold. Bringing IPs that have kind of dwindled or been not looked at for a while. Activision Blizzard has a lot for Microsoft to, they've already been sitting around looking at just basically like at a big table, spreading out all these IPs and going, what should we really take a look at trying to, what IPs would be good to bring back out of this acquisition? It would be dumb not to. There's a ton of it. Along with the games they already have and everything that are Activision Blizzard is already has live running games, but there's a lot to do here with this acquisition. And StarCraft obviously is one of those titles, right? There's one group of gamers that unequivocally welcomes the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft, which recently cleared the hurdle of the provisional approval by the Competition and Market Authority, CMA. In the United Kingdom, it's the community of StarCraft. Long have fans of the real-time strategy franchise felt neglected by the company's leadership, whereas Microsoft has actively invested in Age of Empires with the release of Age of Empires 4 and the continued support of older titles in the series. Naturally, StarCraft's fans hope that some of the attention will fall to the IP they love once the deal has been completed, which I think will be completed sometime this week. Not without reason, Microsoft is investing in more old-school PC genres and series to bolster its PC Game Pass offerings. One representative of the company told me at Gamescom 2023 that the support of Age of Empires and the development of 4X turn-based strategy title are a History Untold are two of the cornerstones of this strategy, and adding Starfield to this must seem like a no-brainer from Microsoft's perspective. Excuse me. As one of the most ironic, dude, I can't read this morning. As one of the most iconic RTS series in the history of video games, a revival of the IP would score easy sympathy points. Corporate VP at Xbox, Sarah Bond, seemed to agree with this sentiment during a Q&A round at Tokyo Game Show, which has been going on since like the 21st, and I think it ends tomorrow, maybe. It's been going on for almost a week, or it will have been going on for almost a week at its end point. When asked which series or game she'd like to see a revival the most, Bond stated, "Well, it's not me so much, but especially since I've been here this week, a lot of fans and I've had a lot of people ask me about in interviews have said StarCraft." Yeah, I mean, StarCraft is still a highly played competitive game in the Eastern Hemisphere of the world. Not that people don't play it here in the West and everything too, but it has been forever a highly competitive played game, and still to this day is in the Eastern Hemisphere of the world. So it makes sense that being at the Tokyo Game Show, she's getting just riddled with questions about the potential of StarCraft coming back around, you know. So I know a lot of you want that, which is what's most important, she said while gesturing towards the audience. It'll be fun to see if that's something that we can do in the future. Best hold off on the hopium for now. Hopium, nice word, dude. I like that. Stink at games like StarCraft. I'm not fantastic at them. I haven't played a lot of them, as of recent. I loved playing them when I was a little bit younger, you know. But dude, I played all those games, you know, StarCraft, Warcraft, all that kind of stuff back in the day, man. I was all about that stuff, you know. Those games were a lot of fun, dude. I will say I don't know that I was necessarily great at them or anything, but I enjoyed them a lot. Best hold off on the hopium for now, since the Activision Blizzard acquisition is not quite through at this point. But the signs and portents all seem to indicate that StarCraft won't rest in the grave forever. As for Microsoft's current RTS ambitions, Age of Empire 4 is soon to get a brand new expansion called The Sultan's Ascend, which will introduce the concept of variant civilizations. Yeah, we've heard a little bit of like water cooler talk about, and it's probably just a bunch of try and get it hyped up so that Microsoft will get it going. But I mean, it seems like a good play, honestly. You know, it really does. When was the last StarCraft released, dude? Early 20 teens. I can't type. Yeah, so StarCraft 2 was 2010, and then it had two expansions. So Heart of the Swarm was in 2013, and Legacy of the Void was in 2015. So really, there hasn't been a StarCraft game released in a full game in 13 years. And I mean, even if you consider, I mean, they have had some expansions, you know what I mean, but they've had some spin-offs apparently. StarCraft Ghost, stuff like that. But real StarCraft games, you know, not spin-offs and everything. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think it's a pretty safe bet they're going to try and bring this back into the fold. This is going to be a very lucrative thing, but they're going to need to do it right. If they don't make StarCraft, 3, this is always a difficult thing to juggle for developers. Bringing an iconic, beloved franchise back into modern gaming, maintaining the core of what that game has always been, and appealing to the fan base that's always been there for those games while still modernizing it is a tightrope. It's a tightrope walk for developers. It can be done very, very well, and it can be done very, very poorly. But it's a hard thing to do. If it's done right, though, man, it can be a great thing. We'll just have to see how they do with it. I think they will bring it back. We'll see, though. Okay, let's find out what's going on with this, man. Canceled Coder 2, Knights of the Old Republic, if you're not familiar with that acronym. Canceled Knights of the Old Republic 2 Switch DLC leads to class action lawsuit against Aspire and Saber. By the way, isn't Aspire the developer that was supposed to be doing the Knights of the Old Republic remake? Ooh, excuse me. So whenever this first got announced, we read about this. We were aware of this when the cancellation of this DLC first got announced. They gave away some stuff for it. They gave away some games. They gave people a choice. People that had already bought into the DLC or whatever. They gave people a choice of they gave away freebies for them and stuff like that, and refunded them and stuff. Something like that. Like they refunded the money that they had already paid and gave them a choice of free to make up for it or whatever. But restored content DLC plans were publicly axed a year after the game's release. Yeah. Aspire and Saber are facing a class action lawsuit over their decision to cancel Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 DLC, originally advertised for last year's Switch port. Title's announcement trailer, which was published a couple of weeks ahead of its June 2022 release, and is viewable below, stated that a restored content DLC was coming soon, and Aspire subsequently said it would arrive in the third quarter of 2022. However, in June of this year, Aspire announced the plans to release the DLC had been canceled. As a means of compensation, it offered customers who bought the game the chance to download one of the 7 other games free of charge, including Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Steam. That's what it was. So I was a little bit off, but I knew it was something like this. Steam players are able to access the Sith Lord's Restored Content modification, which includes a range of material that never made the game's final cut due to the time constraints, but which was restored as part of a fan project endorsed by Aspire and some members of the game's original development team at Obsidian. Despite their failure to release Coder's restored content DLC, defendants refused to give refunds to purchasers of Knights of the Old Republic. Oh. Reads a class action lawsuit filed in July by Malachi Michelonis, individually and on behalf of others similarly situated, which was spotted by The Gamer. What? So they canceled the DLC and then didn't refund people's money for it? Plaintiff felt completely duped, was upset because he had relied on defendants' representations the restored content DLC would be released for Knights of the Old Republic, it reads. In fact, plaintiff did not even play Coder after purchasing it, instead choosing to wait until the restored content DLC was released, but defendants never did. Plaintiff would potentially be interested in purchasing other games with restored content DLC from defendants in the future if they had the advertised content are not deceptively advertised and accordingly priced at fair market value without being artificially inflated due to the deceptive advertising. Plaintiff is seeking a trial by jury, an order awaiting attorney's fees and costs, and further relief, including but not limited to the remedy of disgorgement. The defendants have until October 4th to respond to the lawsuit. Oh, dude. Okay. Here's an article. We knew that Aspire had been taken off the Coder remake, by the way. Yeah, then that makes sense for the lawsuit, right? Fair. That's what I was thinking too, dude. Like, you didn't refund? That's pretty scummy, dude. Yeah, deserve it. If that's actually the case, then yeah, get wrecked. Knights of the Old Republic remake reportedly moved from Aspire to Saber. We had read that before too, but when was this article published? 22nd of August of 2022. Yeah, so we've read this. Yep. This is nothing new. We knew this. Mm-hmm. Basically, TLDR, if you don't know what went down with the Knights of the Old Republic remake, Aspire was the developer on that, and apparently, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, Ferret. But whoever's doing this probably just is trying to make them eat a bunch of money and doesn't care about how much they're getting. Probably something like that. Wants it to be more in the media and everything too. I don't know. It could be something to that effect. Yeah. Um, Class act, and look, man, I'm not a lawyer or anything either, but couldn't a class action lawsuit like this make it available for anybody else that is in the same situation to jump in on this? To where it could compound the issue for the developers themselves? Yeah, I know. Yeah. But I think that's probably what they're trying to push for is not personal gain necessarily, but they've got some kind of agenda against the developer for doing this. You know what I mean? Um, oh yeah, word. Yeah. So the more visible it is, and the more they and look, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know specifics about this. It seems like that kind of situation though. If they have it as a class action kind of thing where as many people as possible can dive in that got duped in this, that's probably what they're shooting for. It's not about how much the lawyers are going to make or how much they're going to make. It's about getting back at the developer for doing this kind of thing, is what it seems more like to me. But I could be totally wrong too, dude. Could just be some ignorance on the part of what their options were. You know what I mean? Could be something like that. Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, dude. Yeah, not at all. um, Devolver rejected deals to include. Oh, so let me backtrack for a moment before we start this article. For those of you that don't know what happened with the Knights of the Old Republic remake, basically Aspire was leading that up. They were heading up the development for that. This was something for like Sony and Embracer, I think. And they had gotten to a point where it was time to show off some of the remake, where they were at a certain point in the game to uh the brass, as it were, and of Sony and Embracer, and basically immediately afterwards, the team leads for the remake got fired. And then the project was put on indefinite hold. So it was a situation where Sony was not happy, Embracer was not happy, and they basically just axed all these people at the top of that project. And yeah, it was really wild. Like they were just like, "Yo, this is we're putting this on indefinite kind of hiatus," and then it came out that Aspire was no longer going to be at the head of that development process. It was going to be Saber, which I think both of those are subsidiaries of Embracer, which makes sense. Embracer's, making it for Sony and everything, and so some kind of contract went on there to get that done. And but there's really been nothing else on that front. The game has just been like kind of stuck, and I'm guessing what they did was they tore the entire thing down. They tore the entire thing down, I'm guessing, and they're starting from scratch, is what I would assume. Um, Pretty brutal. Whatever they saw, they did not like it, not one bit. So it'd be interesting to know exactly what went on there. But that's basically what we got detail wise, and nothing more and nothing less. That was just the thick of it right there. And we haven't really heard anything else on that front since, man. It's been about it. But on to the next one here. Devolver, which is like my favorite publisher, dude. I love Devolver. Rejected deals to include games on subscription services as offers reportedly get smaller. Stockbroking firm Goodbody analyzes the challenges faced by Devolver and TinyBuild due to subscription deals and underperforming titles. Subscriptions are becoming a more prominent part of the games industry, but smaller subscription deals and the underperformance of certain titles have significantly affected Devolver and TinyBuild, according to a report by stockbroking firm Goodbody. Subscription is under pressure at the moment at Devolver and TinyBuild, said Patrick O'Donnell, technology and video game analyst at Goodbody. The checks coming from Sony and Microsoft are just not as big as they were. On Devolver's part, this could in part be explained by the company's latest financial results ending June 30th and released Monday. In addition to delays on high potential titles, the company self-reports that it declined subscription deal proposals that undervalued the title's values and revenue opportunities, resulting in lower subscription revenues. Following its 2021 initial public offering, Devolver experienced a 92% decline in its share price after hitting its peak in January of 2022. Nevertheless, O'Donnell remains optimistic about the company's 2024 title, Human Fall Flat 2, having strong potential as the figures for that are overwhelming. TinyBuild's situation is slightly bumpier, with a 95% decrease in share price for the same period, in part due to the disappointing performance of Hello Neighbor 2. Over that summer, TinyBuild issued a profit warning in its June financial report, citing increased development costs. TinyBuild also announced it would be moving away from publishing third-party titles and focus on games from its in-house teams, with plans to, quote, invest in new larger budget own IP with high replayability. O'Donnell says Team 17, which is currently undergoing a CEO transition with Debbie Bestwick departing at the end of the year, is one to watch amidst the subscription woes facing developers, as it's been, quote, conservative with their expectations. The first 7 months of the year, we've seen Steam unit sales 55% ahead of where they were last year. Dredge, the Lovecraftian fishing game everyone was suddenly playing this year, was a surprise hit in stark contrast with that conservatism. Dredge was awesome, dude. That's like a very notable game for me to have played this year. I think it deserves an amount of... I would love to see Dredge. It's a weird year. Let me say this. It's a weird year. There's been a lot of bangers. And I think that, you know, in maybe another year, Dredge would be way, way up there on some of the different awards for game of the, you know, like different awards during the game of the year showcase and everything. I don't think it'll probably grab too many this year because there's been so many just other banger games. But this is an indie game that I absolutely loved. I thought this game was great. I loved it, dude. This game was a lot of fun. It was very cool. It wasn't Dave the Diver. You know what I mean? It wasn't on par with something like Hi-Fi Rush, which is a AAA game. But it was very, very good. It's an honorable mention for me, for sure. I loved Dredge. I thought it was great, man. In recent years, subscription services has become integral to each platform's strategy in attracting consumers. However, their long-term impact on developers remains uncertain. In 2022, both PlayStation's Jim Ryan and Take-Two's Strauss Zelnick expressed doubts about the economic viability of offering day-one launches. In contrast, Microsoft has adopted the practice of releasing games on Game Pass from day one, and according to a recent document leak, it might be paying top dollar to grow the service. Yeah, that's the big difference there for these. So Microsoft has a strategy behind their day one releases, and it's because their big money, their golden goose, as it were, is Game Pass, right? So Game Pass is what has kept Xbox competitive. I've said this for a long time. For literally the history of their inception into the console gaming competition, they've never done as much as Nintendo or Xbox. Usually only done about half as much hardware and software sales. But Game Pass has been a huge thing for them. And one of the big differences that you'll see with Game Pass as opposed to something like PS Plus is that you get day one releases. And not only do they have the subscription service for their console, but they have the subscription service for PC as well. So you get PC gamers, you get console gamers, and you get those day one releases on both those services as well. It's a huge thing for a large demographic of gamers on different platforms. Whereas PlayStation is just PlayStation. You know what I mean? Nintendo is just Nintendo. And with their services and everything too, you're not getting day one releases. So there's a big difference there. And I do think that eventually, like PS Plus, if they want to compete on the live service subscription front, you know, like Microsoft has with Game Pass, they'll have to convert over. They're going to have to convert over and do day one releases in some capacity. Maybe not for every single release, but they'll have to get over to it at some, which Xbox does for every single release, you know? And it's one of the things that currently is a huge difference maker, in my opinion, for what people should be deciding between these different subscription services. A lost first-person Pokemon game has been restored. This is insane, dude. I remember these kinds of games. Programmer called the cease and desist from Nintendo the greatest compliment. Pokemon 2000 Adventure, the tie-in game for the film of the same name, is now playable after being hit with a cease and desist from Nintendo more than 2 decades ago. The news emerged from the latest episode of Did You Know Gaming, which covered every canceled Pokemon game over the course of the series' history. Pokemon 2000 Adventure is playable here through the Internet Archive. You can click the link here. Thanks to the assistance of Eddie Ruminski, the Did You Know Gaming team, and users Rufus10 and Doom Tay. From the developer Cyberworld International Corporation, Pokemon 2000 Adventure used its proprietary technology to display 2.5D environments in a specialized browser. The player selects their name, their Pokemon team, and the difficulty. Then they set off on a journey to travel 3 islands that are home to Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos to retrieve an ancient sphere from each of the locations. The reward is unlocked as long as the player answers a set of trivia questions correctly. Nintendo originally approved Cyberworld's pitch as it thought it would be simple compared to Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium, which had launched 1 year prior. The realization that Pokemon 2000 Adventure was more complex caused the company to freak, said Ruminski. They immediately hit us with a cease and desist, he called in the Did You Know Gaming episode. Having been a programmer on the game, it was the greatest compliment, via cease and desist, saying, "Sorry, what you made was too much like a good video game." Previously, it was thought that Pokemon 2000 Adventure would not work any longer, owing to the large leaps in technology since its launch. Technical director Neil Marshall theorized that it wouldn't run past a specific date, or it was tied to an old version of Internet Explorer and wouldn't work anymore. But apparently it does, and that's awesome, dude. If you want to try it out, the link is here in this article. That's very, very cool. How do you? How nice is it that Pokemon or that Nintendo can do this kind of thing? Approved the pitch. You know what I mean? And then once they see the game, they push out a cease and desist on it. Good old Nintendo. Gotta love them. More Game Pass price hikes are inevitable. Xbox Gaming CEO Phil Spencer warns. Future additional Game Pass price hikes are inevitable. Xbox Gaming, CEO Phil Spencer says. Well, I mean, that's the world we live in. There's inflation all the time. Prices go up on stuff, but The price just went up for the first time ever, right? About a month and a half ago. Um, they tried doing this a number of years ago, and they got so much criticism for it from the community that they backtracked and said, "Okay, we won't do it now." But I mean, for people to think that the price of things like this aren't ever going to go up, that's a bit, you know, unrealistic, unfortunately. Um, but I think what you would like to see is that it's, oh, I mean, whether you're talking about your subscription services or you're talking about a video game engine, Unity, and the way that they're addressing their customers, or you're talking about the price of AAA video games, which, let's be fair, most of them don't compare to indie games anymore. And the main thing you want to know is that you're getting what you're paying for, you know? And if the price of something does, if a company feels like they need to increase the price of something, they be open and communicate with the consumer base and the fan base about why they're doing this kind of thing. And look, it shouldn't be something where it's like, oh well, we raised the price last year and we maintained the same amount of subscribers, so let's just raise it again this year. It's not about greed, right? So it shouldn't be about greed. It should be about, obviously, business is about making money, and we understand that as consumers, but there needs to be that balance between, you know, taking care of the consumer, providing great content, continuing to do that. If I don't think we're all ignorant to the fact that you need money to continue to bring us great content and everything. Be open with it, you know what I mean, about what might be going on with you needing to increase prices. And it shouldn't be something that has to happen every single year or anything like that, though. You know what I mean? Um, and let's. I'm gonna talk about this Capcom article next. The video gaming industry has found many different ways to pull money out of people, right? And so it's not like these companies haven't found their alternate avenues of revenue. So for me, whenever I see a price increase, I'm always going to look at, like, how long has it been since you did something like that? This is Xbox just with Game Pass just did their first ever price increase. Okay. Does it feel good to any consumer? No. But I'm also realistic about the and understanding that it's inevitable, and maybe every half decade it's going to happen. And to be fair, I understand the way business works, and for them to do it before Starfield hits, that's a business move. They knew a bunch of people were going to be buying into Game Pass for Starfield. It made sense for them to do it now, and I'm willing to bet towards the end of this decade, whenever we get the release of a game like Elder Scrolls 6, they're going to raise that price again because they know there's going to be a ton of people buying into Game Pass again. And if they can raise the price to a little bit more, even if it's not much, a little bit more over that amount of new subscribers is a lot of money. So, business is business. I get it. But it shouldn't be something that happens all the time. And as long as they continue to provide a good service and provide good content, okay, I'm accepting of that. And as long as you're not scamming people all the time and stuff, be open, communicate with your consumer base, let them know why you're doing this, things like that. That's important. I think that's important, as opposed to what we're seeing with like Unity right now and things like that. And this whole like turnover from $60 to $70 AAA games whenever, it's like, oh, well, it's inflation. Get wrecked, dude. Everybody, anybody that knows anything about the gaming industry knows that it's not about inflation. It's about greed. It's about these companies wanting to put even more into the marketing and hype side of their games. They even do the development, when at least half the AAA games that get made anymore are actual balls on release. They play like crap, and it's not like they're not, getting all kinds of monetization out of flipping microtransactions and DLC that comes out 2 months after the game's initial release, and they're making their money, dude. Don't get it twisted. There wasn't any need for the price of AAA games to rise, other than the fact of greed, really, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll get into that side of things with this Capcom article coming up next. Xbox Game Pass will likely see another price increase as time goes by, says Phil Spencer. Microsoft recently raised the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Console, a meager $2 and $1 respective increase, as compared to Sony's 35% price jump on PS Plus, which I don't understand how they felt like that was something that they had any reason to do. This hike might not be the last. Sony's jump made no sense. They've only had their subscription service out in any comparable form to Game Pass for a little over a year now, and they don't do day one releases or anything like that. And then they bumped the price of it up by 30 to 35%, depending on the tier. Disgusting, dude. The only thing I can figure is they knew they had enough people locked into just playing on their console service that, it would be okay for them, which is disgusting. In an interview with Japanese gaming outlet GameWatch, Xbox chief Phil Spencer candidly said that another increase is inevitable. As inflation increases, games are becoming much more expensive to make, and companies are spending more to develop titles. Horizon Forbidden West, for example, cost over $200 million to bring to market. Quote, we always want to give you options in how to build your library. You can subscribe to Game Pass and play, or you can purchase the game. Millions of users have subscribed to Game Pass. Many of them are satisfied with using it. Although the main goal is to provide more value, the price is, I think, inevitable that it will rise in the future. We recently raised our prices once. The decision was made after careful consideration. We believe it is important to provide services that are recognized as being of sufficient value, even if prices are increased. The recent FTC versus Microsoft leaks give us a more clue on what's on the horizon. Yeah, we've talked about all this. Yeah, I think that we'll see the same kind of business scheme go on with the. It just makes business sense, really. With Game Pass, there will be another increase. At some point in the future, before the end of this decade, with a big release. Because they do proprietary games, first party titles, as day one releases on their subscription service as well, which is awesome. I think that's one of the greatest things that, when you're looking at subscription services, you have to take that into consideration. And because none of the other subscription services do that kind of thing. And they know that they've got, like, especially with like what Starfield, like I just talked about Starfield, they just did it with Starfield. We know we're going to have Elder Scrolls 6 coming out down the line, and they could potentially do it before that. There'll be other big name games too, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's kind of inevitable that it will happen. Yeah, and I think here's the thing for people like me. Yeah, we know, probably about 5 years ago, AAA games were in this realm of Horizon, right? Games were taking roughly 3 to 5 years to develop. And they were costing, I don't know, $100 to $200 million budget. Let's be very clear here. People need to understand that budget, half of that budget for a long time now in AAA games is going to marketing. You're getting half that budget to actually develop the game, and the other half of that budget's going to promoting and marketing the title. And every time I see a AAA game come out that performs like trash, it drives me crazy to know that fact. That they're putting as much money most of the time on these projects into the marketing and promotion of these games that should have had much more time and money put into the development to make sure that the product itself was actually going to be good instead of just getting people hyped about it and then releasing a broken ass product. But modern gaming, we're at a point now where it's being reported that, projects are taking anywhere from 5 to 7 years now, big AAA projects. And the budgets are getting massive. We're talking like $500 million, $600 million. Yo, Arnie, what up, buddy? How you doing, man? And even with something like GTA 6 apparently is breaking the $1 billion threshold. And so yeah, okay, fine. Big budget games are getting more expensive to make. Fine. But the area where I'm always going to have an issue is, and this just falls back in line with the part of educating consumers and us as, video game enthusiasts, as the consumer, on supporting the good companies and not supporting the bad companies. If these big AAA companies are going to put that much money into a game, but they're not going to ensure the game performs well, or ensure the game has the content in it that is being promised through their marketing and promotion of it, they should get wrecked. They don't deserve support. They don't deserve our money or whatever. It drives me crazy. So yeah, okay, whatever. You want to act like, the games are getting more expensive and everything, but it's your job to create a quality product for us as the consumer, So there's two sides to this ball game, man, Yeah, I know, Ferret. I know. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Arnie, we played some yesterday too, man. Yeah. Kind of busy the last days, moving to new furnitures and oh, word, dude, word. Cool, man. Congrats on the new furnitures, bro. Sick. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we played a little bit of New Vegas yesterday. We played like most of the gameplay yesterday was Fallout New Vegas, and we played a little bit of God of Weapons. We're going to do the same thing today. Yeah. So we'll play some more New Vegas. I think we're going to go to Vault 22 today, actually. And then we'll go play some more God of Weapons to end the day, and we'll do a couple of runs or whatever. Yeah. So that's the plan, dude. Yeah. It's good to see you, buddy. And segueing from what we just talked about into this, I'm gonna rant a little bit more. So just be prepared for this, okay? So speaking about the cost of video game development and the price of gaming and stuff like that, you guys know I'm very passionate about this topic. I've got a lot of very solid views personally about what is okay and what is not okay on this front. And whenever the prices went up over the past year from AAA games, from the traditional $60 to $70 price point, there were a lot of people out there that were going, "Oh, well, the prices haven't gone up, in 2 decades, really, and so it's about time it happened, and it's inflation." And okay, look, man, that is not taking a critical look at the way these companies have been treating us as the consumer, because you're not taking into consideration all the other scummy things that they do to us to pull money out of us and make sure that they're getting what they need to get out of us without needing to raise that price of a AAA game, right? So you want to talk about all the flipping microtransactions. You want to talk about all the pay to win crap, all the battle passes, the DLC that'll come out for a game 2 to 3 months after its release when that content was already ready for a game or whatever. And look, there are some companies that don't do this stuff, right? But there are a lot that do. Okay, like it was really refreshing to see Larian come out with Baldur's Gate 3 and just, dude, you pay for that game, you get a massive amount of content, you know? And I'm one of those game players that even on a free to play game like something like Warframe, a very well done free to play game, or Path of Exile, you know, um, or Lost Ark, really good free to play games. I'm going to support those developers in a monetary fashion. And you know what I mean? Because those aren't pay to win games. They're free to play games that are very, very well developed. I got a lot of good game time, lots of game time out of those games. And for me, it made sense to support those developers, right? But you on the flip side of this coin, you've got all these AAA developers going, yeah, we need to raise the prices when they're already scheming all this other money out of people through these other methods all the time. And a lot of these AAA developers release crap games. Not all of them. There's still some decent ones out there. But you get a lot of these developers that just release crap titles all the time, perform like crap. I mean, Jesus, we just went over an article where Arcane and it's been confirmed that Arcane and EA are already greenlighting the next Jedi game. And Jedi Survivor is still a broken piece of trash. It's still a broken piece of trash. But they made a ton of money off of it because of the name on that game and because the one before it was decent to pretty good, actually. And they knew they could get away with it. This is the problem, man, And that's a AAA game at a AAA price point. People are still waiting for that game to be fixed 5 months later, But they're like, we'll just greenlight the next one. Who gives a crap? We made money off of it. This is the thing I'm trying to get across to people all the time about. Don't support Arcane anymore. Don't support EA. Those are some scummy, terrible companies, dude. I know gaming's supposed to be about having fun and everything, but look, man, you keep supporting these terrible companies that do this kind of thing to us, they'll keep doing it to you over and over and over again. You support the good companies, absolutely. Put those good companies up on a pedestal. They've shown you they'll give you good content. They've shown you they'll give you good performing games. Support those companies, but you don't support the bad ones. I don't have an issue supporting and giving money to good companies. I have an issue whenever all these bad companies go, yeah, we need to raise the prices. And then they still release trash games. They'll promote the crap out of it. They'll put just as much budget into promotion and marketing of a game than they do the development. And the game comes out and is a hot piece of garbage. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know, Ferret. Maybe, dude, maybe. But I mean, here we go. And here's the deal. Unfortunately, man, this is coming out of Capcom, and Capcom is one of those AAA companies where until Exoprimal came out, I was like, Capcom's like a decent AAA company. They release good performing games, their content's good, and then Exoprimal came out, and it was such a cash grab. The game's not, it should have at the very least been a free-to-play game, but it wasn't. You can play it on Game Pass, but it's also, if you don't play it on a subscription service, you're going to pay a AAA price tag for that game. And then it's also just riddled with microtransactions. Battle Pass, microtransactions, you name it. There's just try to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. It was so gross to see it. So gross. And the game wasn't, it was really repetitive. It was really repetitive. They had a decent core for the gameplay there that they could have really built something decent off of. But instead, what they did is they got just the bare minimum of decent gameplay in, and then all they did was focus on trying to monetize everything in the game. And then you get Capcom's president coming out saying that they want us to pay even more for their games after something like Exoprimal. Get wrecked, dude. How disgusting is this, man? So in a recent exclusive interview with, is this Nikai, the president of Capcom, Hirohiro Sugimoto went on record stressing that game development is 100 times more costly than it was back in the Famicom era, but the price of software hasn't increased in kind. You're getting your price, you're getting your extra money out of these other monetization schemes that you're putting into your games, though. He therefore believes the price of games should see a sharp increase to tackle ever-rising wages and the overall cost of producing these games. It takes years to build a AAA game now, and the investment needed to can be in the hundreds of millions, but software prices still float around $50 to $70. Could we see $100 games enter the market? Look, we've already heard speculation GTA 6 is going to be well over $100 for the base game. I haven't seen anything official on that front, but I mean, I could actually see it from Rockstar. They're a scummy company to me too. So, when would you stop buying software? Would it take an $80 price tag? What about a $100 price tag? They're the kind of figures that Sugimoto is alluding to in his statement that was recorded by Nikki just days ago. I'm going to give you an example in a moment. After I read this, let me give you an example of a AAA developer that didn't need to do something like this. Personally, I feel that game prices are too low. Development costs are about 100 times higher than during the Famicom era, but software prices have not gone up that much. There's also a need to raise wages. Considering the fact that wages are raising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy option for business. These days, games tend to go on sale months after they're released, or more commonly, unless you're Nintendo, they'll find a way onto a subscription service. Recently, the likes of Jim Ryan went on talking about how harmful Xbox Game Pass is for the industry. That's because Jim Ryan works for Sony, and Sony doesn't want anything to change from the way they've always done business. Look, dude, this is the evolution of gaming, and Jim Ryan needs to get on board because Sony is about to have a real eye-opening experience with the fact that Microsoft is about to finally fully acquire Activision Blizzard. This is going to change the game, dude. They've been able to sit on top of Xbox forever doing the same thing they always have, which is just ride ride into the sunset, coasting off of their hardware and software sales. You know what I mean? Look, Microsoft had to find ways to compete. They did that. And now things are going to change for Sony. Jim Ryan needs to get on board. It's happening, dude. That combined with Sugimoto's comments about prices needing to increase across the board to mean that we're on track for $100 games to service in a few years. Let me give you an example here, though. There's a AAA game from an amazing studio that dropped this year. Shadow dropped. They didn't need to invest in. So most AAA games have these massive budgets. We're talking, AAA games are now seeing budgets anywhere from reportedly $200 to $500 million budgets, and half of that's on being spent on marketing and promotion. Yeah. And again, half these games come out and they're balls. They play like crap. They don't have the content they're supposed to have. You name it. But let's just keep our eyes on a game that is actually good. Half of the budget is going to the marketing and promotion of a game, right? And so, look, I'm all about taking care of employees. I think that's an incredibly noble thing that too many, I don't care what industry you're in, too many businesses have lost sight of what it means to take care of your employees and your consumers, though. Those are two big things that companies have to understand. Business is obviously about making money, but your employees are the ones that keep you running. Your consumers are the ones that have gotten you to where you are. And if you take care of both of those things, you'll continue to be successful. If you don't, you'll eventually capsize. You'll eventually falter. Tango didn't feel the need to invest in the heavy budget side of promotion or marketing for the game they released this year in Hi-Fi Rush. And then they released that game at a $30 price point, and we're talking about a AAA studio. So you tell me. You know what I mean? There are examples out there of studios that understand how things can be done better. And then you've got these other studios that go, oh, well, you know, we have to put in as much marketing and I get it, dude. You know, okay, I understand that to an extent. The hype train is the thing for a lot of titles. I get it. Okay, the hype train is also something that I think a lot of these developers and publishers have to understand is not working to the extent that it used to. Well, a lot of us gaming enthusiasts that are their consumer also, the way it used to work doesn't necessarily work on a lot of us the way it used to. We've been duped too much by it. And for me personally, and I know a lot of the other people in this community, we would rather see the majority of that money be pushed into the development of a game. And the thing is, like, take a game like Hi-Fi Rush again. Dude, nobody really knew much about that game. It just got shadow dropped on us earlier this year. It spread like wildfire. Why? They didn't need promotion and marketing. They had word of mouth. They produced an amazing title and it sold itself. If you make great quality products in an industry like this, you don't have to tell people how good it is before it comes out, because people that play the games will tell each other how good the games are when they release. And you'll make money that way. This is like kind of like natural selection, you know what I mean, in the video gaming industry. You make good products, people will find out about it by word of mouth, and it'll do very well, just like Hi-Fi Rush has. If you don't, then, you know, it dies off because it's crap, because you make crap. And that's the way it should be. So obviously there are enough people that are still buying into like the marketing hype and all that stuff, and these companies feel like they need to put $200 to $300 million, half the budget for their games, into the marketing and but I mean, you know, for me, I mean, it doesn't make sense that we're the ones paying the price, dude, for all of this. And again, there are still some decent AAA developers out, but there are a great amount of indie developers out there doing just fine, releasing games at $20 to $30 price points. You know what I mean? And the games are usually bangers compared to the AAA games that we're getting. So what's wrong with the AAA model here? You know what I mean? They want to talk about how much more they need to raise prices because the budgets are just getting too expensive. But there's something wrong with their business model, in my opinion. It doesn't make sense to me. They want to talk about how they need to raise the AAA price when they keep making games like Exo Primal. That's just a huge cash grab. It's disgusting to see it. I'd feel different about it if that was like a free-to-play game and they're like, okay, well, we need to make it's a free-to-play game. We're going to let people get in here and play the game, and we need to make money somehow, some way. I understand that, but it's not. It's a AAA price tag game. And then they also it's just riddled with monetization too. And that's Capcom game, where this quote is coming out of, So sorry if I'm not going to buy into the fact that you think you need to raise the prices of your games whenever there are plenty of examples out there of other AAA studios that are absolutely killing it without resorting to your kinds of tactics and feeling like they need to raise prices They're not even selling their games for half of what you are. You know, it's disgusting, dude. Okay, so SAG-AFTRA members vote to authorize a video game strike. So right here, that does not mean a strike is definitely happening, but it does give them the option. Yeah, I mean, as we found this article earlier. So if you guys aren't familiar with what SAG-AFTRA acronym stands for, it's the Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, right? And they voted to authorize a video game strike with a 98.32% of the votes in favor. So we've heard for a long time now that like even just voice actors in video games have been severely underpaid, right? And you can only assume that like all the other artists that are part of this guild are not getting their dues probably, but it's not just voice actors in video games, I mean, even for the longest time, there's been acting used in video games. You can go all the way back to what was Ferret was Wing Commander 3. I think Ferret was talking about earlier. I brought up Mortal Kombat 1. You know what I mean? Not this Mortal Kombat 1, original Mortal Kombat 1. Those had real actors in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So and nowadays it's much more prominent. You look at Cyberpunk, it's got Idris Elba in it. Idris Elba. Dude, I probably just butchered his name terribly. He's a great actor, by the way. Sorry, sir. I'm really sorry. I think it's Idris Elba. Isn't that his name? I think I butchered it. He had Keanu Reeves in it. You know what I mean? You talk about dude, it's just riddled with actors now, all the way through and through. So not only is it voice acting, but it's legitimate actors. And then you've got all the writers and everything that are part of this as well. I mean, the SAG-AFTRA stuff was all the writers were on strike here recently that are part of this guild for movies and television, really, because they were just overworked and underpaid, and they decided to go ahead and go on strike and everything. So I don't know. Again, this doesn't mean that they are actually striking right now, but it gives them the clearance to go ahead and do that if they feel the need that this is the path they want to take, and they feel that this is the best way forward for them to, get their dues in regards to what's going on here in this industry, and getting the right kind of compensation for the work they're doing. To be clear, this doesn't mean video game performers are going on strike, but it does mean that the union negotiators have the go-ahead from their members to call for one if they feel it necessary when their negotiations with video game companies, including Activision, Disney, EA, Take-Two, Insomniac, and WB, resume tomorrow. The SAG-AFTRA National Board voted unanimously to send a strike authorization vote to members back on September 1st. In a statement, SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher, dude, I love that she's the president of SAG-AFTRA. I didn't know that until not too long ago. Fran Drescher is the president of SAG-AFTRA. It's flipping awesome, dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Fran Drescher. Yep. Yeah. And said it's time for video game companies to stop playing games and get serious about reaching an agreement on this contract. Yeah, dude. Yeah. She's apparently, after the her time in television, she became a very, very prominent part of like the behind the scenes of this kind of stuff. Obviously. She's the president of SAG-AFTRA, dude. Yeah. Apparently she's a very good businesswoman, dude. Yeah. It's pretty neat. Yeah, isn't that dope? It's pretty cool, dude. The results of this shows our membership understands the existential nature of these negotiations. Sorry. The results of this vote shows our membership understands the existential nature of these negotiations, and that the time is now for these companies, which are making billions of dollars paying their CEOs lavishly, to give our performers an agreement that keeps performing in video games as a viable career, she continued. Meanwhile, in a statement representing the video game producers negotiating the interactive media agreement, spokesperson Audrey Cooling said, quote, "We will continue to negotiate in good faith to reach an agreement that reflects the important contributions of SAG-AFTRA, represented performers in video games. We have reached tentative agreements on over half of the proposals and are optimistic we can find a resolution at the bargaining table. The last time the industry's video game performers went on strike was in 2016. It would become the longest strike in SAG-AFTRA's history, lasting nearly a year before a new contract was ratified in November of 2017. That contract expired in 2020, but was extended to 2022, then again to 2023. That last extension happened about a year ago, and in voting to send a strike authorization vote to members, SAG-AFTRA said they had been fighting for critical terms SAG-AFTRA members needed or need. Unfortunately, throughout the negotiations, the companies have failed to address those needs, SAG-AFTRA said at the time. In today's announcement, SAG-AFTRA National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree, Ireland, said that after 5 rounds of bargaining, it has become abundantly clear that the video game companies aren't willing to meaningfully engage on the critical issues: compensation undercut by inflation, unregulated use of AI, and safety. As Crabtree, Ireland mentions, the key issues SAG-AFTRA has been raising are protections against AI, wage increases on par with those for film and TV actors, the same 5-minute per hour rest period that off-camera performers are entitled to, vocal stress protections, and on-set medics when necessary. The news comes on the heels of the Writers Guild of America, that's what I was thinking of, the WGA, reaching a tentative deal with Hollywood's studios just last night. It still needs to be ratified by the Guild, but if it is, it will end the historic 5-month strike by the industry's writers. SAG-AFTRA's film and television performers, however, remain on strike, have not been calling to return to the table yet by that group that represents Hollywood studios, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. They've been on strike since July, and their fellow union members on the video game side now have the option to join them on the picket lines if union leadership calls for it. So we'll see what happens. I'm guessing a strike's probably going to go down. That would be my assumption here. I think this is what I think is probably the case. There are probably a number of solid corporations in the gaming industry that are willing to compensate accordingly, right? Those are the same kind of companies that have a pretty solid ethical and moral compass all the way through their they've got nice, standards of holding their day-to-day business and everything, and they take care of their employees, and these are the ones that are like, yeah, I mean, we should be compensating these people accordingly. And then you've got a lot of the other ones that are, like Capcom, where their CEO is probably like, we need to raise prices of the games to $130 a pop. That way I can, line my pockets with gold. And those are probably the corporations that are like, why should we pay anybody any more than we ever have? It's probably a lot of those companies that are doing that kind of thing. But, that's just my assumption. I don't know for sure. We'll see what happens. Payday 3's launch has gone so badly that Starbreeze says it's now looking at the possibility of some sort of offline mode. It's not going to fix everything. I'm just going to state that right now. That's not going to fix everything for this game. Anybody that was a Payday 2 fan, this game is just too off from what we expected an evolution from Payday 2 to Payday 3 to be. And yeah, I think that this will fix some issues for some people, but this game's a wash, dude, for me. I think it's a wash for most people that played Payday 2 and were looking forward to Payday 3. Too much that they messed up, dude. Aside from even this offline mode request stuff. Payday 3's matchmaking is still broken, driving Steam reviews down to mostly negative. Check it out. It's really bad, dude. %32 positive, over 26,000 reviews at this point. Yikers. It's really bad. Really bad. For a game, now, in contrast, right? So take a look at this. This game, Payday 3, is 32% positive. That means a 3.2 out of 10 of over 26,000 reviews. Just to give you an idea, Payday 2 all time 8.9 out of 10 user reviews of over 417,000 reviews. How did they screw something up that bad? You know, you've had something out for a decade that you've been able to garner feedback on, and find out. I mean, what people really enjoyed and disliked about the game and stuff like that, and then they totally wrecked the new game. Like, what is wrong with these companies? Like, how do they not see? How do they not, look at feedback? It's asinine to me. I don't understand what happens in these situations. It's really weird. Um, it's so crazy to me. But let's go back here and read this real quick. The launch of High Shooter Payday 3 last week has not gone well. Persistent server problems have frustrated players, and the game's always online requirement means that even people who want to play solo are having trouble getting into the game. The net result, a disastrous, mostly negative user rating on Steam, where 68% of the nearly 25,000 user reviews are now thumbs down. Developer Starbreeze has issued a statement on the situation saying that Payday 3's matchmaking software ran into an unforeseen error, which left it unable to handle the large number of players trying to get into the game. Making matters worse, a new version of the matchmaking software that rolled out over the weekend seemed to improve the situation until a software update made on Sunday by Starbreeze's third-party matchmaking partner caused new instability in the server infrastructure. Quote, we were disappointed in the issues our player base has faced during our launch weekend, but we are confident in our core product, yikers, and the quality of Payday 3. All available metrics point to it. Oh, really? Yeah? Really? Tobias? We have a lot of diligent and consistent work ahead of us to regain community trust. We will work hard to do it. The one potential upside to the mess is that it could mean Payday 3 ends up with a proper offline mode for single-player action. Starbreeze said that it is now looking for a new matchmaking service partner for Payday 3, also making the game less dependent on online services. Sojourn affirmed on Twitter that the development team is looking at the possibility to add some sort of offline mode. It's the latest game to demonstrate that requiring a persistent online connection for single player is never a good idea. Microsoft figured it out a decade ago with Xbox One, and Bethesda got the message earlier this year with Redfall. Look, man, that's Arcane. Bethesda's the publisher. Arcane is the developer of Redfall. Okay? Bethesda published this game. Redfall was made by Arcane. To be fair, Arcane is a subsidiary of Bethesda, but they both need to have their names on that title. Bethesda is not the only one that deserves to have criticism for that game. Arcane first and foremost. To be fair, it's an irritant as a matter of principle, but there can be serious negative practical consequences too. Starbreeze will no doubt get these problems fixed up eventually, and if the always online mandate is dropped, so much the better. For now, though, it looks like gamers eager to jump into Payday 3 could be facing a rough ride for a while. Tried logging in today to see how things are going. 3 attempts to start a solo game by creating an invite-only game led to this matchmaking error. Reached out to Starbreeze for more information on the state of the game and the timeline for getting things sorted, and will update if I receive a reply. Look, man, I've seen a lot of negative reviews talking about the online-only issues, but there are also a lot of reviews for this game that are slamming it for actually regressing on a lot of things that Payday 2 did well. They changed up a lot of things that people really liked about Payday 2 and made it worse, which is, I think, for a lot of people that enjoyed Payday 2, they're just not going to like this game. I won't even play it because of everything I've heard about it. And so I don't know what their thought process was behind this, but it feels bad. Payday 2 was a banger, dude. It feels really bad. Here we go. This is the last thing I have for the day. A lot of ranting, sorry, but sometimes these articles get me going, man. They're some of the stuff that happens in the industry is just really gross, and these companies try to do the best they can to pull the wool over our eyes and try to get us to see what they want us to see. But I think it's important that we take a critical look at a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do to us. You know what I mean? Yeah, fair. Yeah. So that's why I'm passionate about this, and I want people to see all sides and flesh out these ideas. I'm not always going to be entirely, correct in my probably sentiments that I express here, but I always want everybody to share their points of view so we can try and figure out, different ways to view these situations. But I do feel very strongly about a lot of the scummy stuff that I feel happens here in the industry, and so yeah, it gets me riled up sometimes. But this is the last article I have. We're gonna move on after this and go play some Fallout New Vegas, and then probably do a few God of Weapons runs to end the day, man. So if anybody has anything else to add for the news section, let me know and I'll address it before we move on and play some video games for the rest of the day. Cool. Basically, all I'm gonna do here is list out the games that are popping off, getting released for the month of October coming up. Cool. So, Battle Shapers on PC. Scorn, highly recommend everybody avoid this game. It's basically balls. It performs fine. It's just terrible. Played this game on release on PC last year. It was bad. Silent Hope, I mean, obviously that's going to be a subjective take of mine. But it was bland. Besides the aesthetic of the Geiger aesthetic of the artwork in the game, the environment, H.R. Geiger environment that was presented in the game was really cool to look at. Other than that, the gameplay was terrible. The story was like, what is going on? There just wasn't much else there besides the aesthetic, the environmental aesthetic for the game. Really. Should have been more like a visual experience for like VR or something rather than an actual video game. I don't know. Silent Hope for PC and Switch on October 3rd. Station to Station for PC on October 3rd. Fabulous Fear Machine for PC on October 4th. Wordless. All platforms, it looks like, on October 4th. AC Mirage hitting on the 5th across all platforms. Asterix and Obelix Heroes on October 5th, all platforms. Bang on Balls. Chronicles for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on October 5th. Yeah, well, it's because it's linked. Yeah, they've got a link for it. Detective Pikachu's got a link. Forza's got a link. Honkai Star Rail's got a link. Alan Wake 2's got a link. A lot of them do. Yeah. It's probably because they've got reviews for them or something, or like some kind of games radar. Everything they know so far. So it's actually a link to their own articles. That's what it is, Arnie. Yeah. They'll do that a lot on this site. So Bloodline, that's October 5th. Cricket 24, October 5th. All of these will be October 5th here. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope, Folk Hero, Hidden Through Time 2, Myths and Magic, Knight vs. Giant, The Broken Excalibur, Stop Dead, Sweet Dreams Alex Wargroove 2. Then on October 6th, there's Detective Pikachu Returns for the Switch, and Sword Art Online Last Recollection on all platforms. Then on the 10th of October, Forza Motorsport for PC and Xbox. Little Gator Game. PS5, Xbox, PS4, Xbox. So previous and new gen, current gen Xbox and PlayStations. Roblox is hitting PS4 on October 10th as well. Okay. Wildcard Football, October 10th, all platforms. Then on the 11th is Honkai Star Rail for PS5 and Total War Pharaoh for PC on the 11th. Company of Heroes Collection on the 12th for Switch, and Haunted House, all platforms on October 12th. The 13th, The Grinch Christmas Adventure, Lords of the Fallen, October 13th. That's a big release right there. Really interested in seeing how this is going to do. Transformers Earthspark, 13th. The 16th has SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake for PS5 and Xbox Series X. October 17th. This is not correct, dude. Wait, what? They haven't updated this? This is not correct, by the way. October 27th now is Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 is October 27th. This got delayed by 10 days. We are going to play this, actually. We'll be playing this in the community. I've never played the first Alan Wake, so we're going to play the first Alan Wake, and then we'll probably play Alan Wake 2 right on release, okay? Cyber Knights on the 17th. Diablo 4 Season of Blood. Sonic Superstars. All of those are on the 17th. Alaskan Road Truckers on the 18th. The 7th Guest VR. Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express. Airport Sim. Endless Dungeon. Gangs of Sherwood. The Gap. Jackbox Party Pack 10. All of those are on the 19th. Marvel Spider-Man 2. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Both on the 20th. Just Dance 2024 on the 23rd. City Skylines 2 on the 24th. Dark Envoy. Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. All of those are on the 24th. Dave the Diver's hitting the Switch on October 26th. Yo. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Arnie. Alan Wake, original Alan Wake is supposed to be a banger, dude. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you're playing it. Yeah, that's what, I've wanted to play it for a long time. And now that, I knew Alan Wake 2 was releasing this October, I was like, oh, dude, I'm just going to play them in succession. So I'm going to try to line up playing Alan Wake 1 right before Alan Wake 2 releases, so I can play Alan Wake 1, and then we'll basically end Scaretober with Alan Wake 2. Yeah, that'll be the end of our Scaretober. Probably will be the Alan Wake games. Yeah, I'm really excited, dude. I'm really excited. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Dave the Diver, dude, this is a game that is like game of the year for me right now, and it's an indie game. This game is so flipping good. I don't think it'll probably stand up to something like Baldur's Gate 3 once I get to play Baldur's Gate 3 come November. But this is a game I think that's going to play very well. Woo, sorry. Very well on the Switch also. I played it on PC. It's been out on PC since a little bit earlier this year in full release. It was early release come November of last year, I think. And this game is going to be a really, really good play on the Switch, I think. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is also coming out on the 26th, as well as Ghost Runner 2. That'll probably be very good. Bratz Flaunt Your Fashion Complete Edition on the 27th. Headbangers Rhythm Royale on the 31st. Animal Hospital, Ark Survival Ascended, and Big Fat Battle. All of these are to be determined right now for a date in October. But if you need this list, if you look up here at the top, you can actually switch between October, November, December. You can see, but some of these dates might be a little bit off. Like I said, for sure, Alan Wake 2 is been delayed by 10 days. That happened about a month ago. So just know that this might need a little bit of updating, might be a little bit off. But there's that link for you if you need it, all right? That's the news, baby. That's the news. It was a good news segment. There's a lot of stuff today, man. A lot of stuff to cover, but it was good to flesh it out, man. It always is. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll get some music popping off here and just tell everybody thanks again for being a part of what we do every day and for the great video gaming news segment this morning. We're going to get out of the news segment now. We're going to head over and play some Fallout New Vegas and do a few God of Weapons runs to end the day probably. But if anybody's been able to check out the video gaming news segment this morning live or maybe later on as a VOD, we start off all of our streams 6 days a week, roughly 6 a.m. CST. Kick it off with video gaming news, and then we immediately follow up video gaming news like we're about to do right now with going and playing video games for the rest of the day. So if you're enjoying the content, man, come hang out with us when we are live. Tomorrow's our day off, our normal day off. So take every Wednesday off. But other than that, 6 days a week, we're here. We're live, roughly 8 hours, 9 hours a day. And we always start at around 6 a.m. CST CDT. We're always looking for more cool people to come be a part of our community here. A bunch of people that just love video games and like hanging out together and enjoying our time together and stuff, man. Good people. So if you fit that vibe, man, come hang out with us. We're always looking for more cool people to be a part of what we do. All of our previous content we've done, whether it be playthroughs, video gaming news segments, wild, funny clips and highlights, all that stuff's on the YouTube channel as well as the Twitch channel. So you can go check that content out too if you want. But we're always looking for people to come hang out with us while we're live and have a good time. So other than that, man, happy Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday, as tomorrow again is our normal day off. So we'll be back on Thursday for September 28th edition of Video Gaming News. And until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be kind. We're going to go play some games. And we'll be back in a couple of days for the next Video Gaming News segment, all right?